All right. I'm going to start again today with our devotional, The Holy Hustle. So it says, I come from a long line of women who work, and by doing work that I love, I pray my daughter will learn to chase her dreams, work hard, and obey God wherever He calls her. I pray she will learn from me. The holy hustle means embracing the work we've been given, but finding our worth in the one who created us to do it. Our work has worth, and what we do to serve God, our neighbors, and our families is important, but not what defines us. Scripture has quite a bit to say about the worth of work. Paul wrote to the Ephesians with a reminder that God has prepared good works for His children, that we have been created to do them. In another of Paul's letters, he encouraged the Corinthians to be steadfast, work in the excellence, knowing that work done for God is not done in vain. The Proverbs 31 woman worked with willing hands, bought and sold land out of her earnings, created, planted, and managed. Deborah worked as a judge and was practically a military commander. Consider your thoughts good and bad. I think I read the wrong one. Sorry. I was like, none of my notes are going to go with this. That one's great. I'm going to continue on with this one. Rest is hard for me because my natural inclination is to hustle and strive. I've lived long enough with my flaws to understand that very deep inside, I believe if I'm not working, I'm failing. And if I'm failing, I'm worthless. But in the same way, I believe we can serve God in our work. I believe we honor Him when we rest. We need to slow down, spend time in the Word, be quiet enough to hear God's voice so we are better equipped to do the work He's calling us to do. When I try to go 24/7 without a break, not only do I burn out, neglect my family, and serve as a poor steward of my health, but I start to make hurried decisions based on my agenda and dreams instead of listening to God's quiet guidance. Charles Swindoll wrote, God never asks us to meet life's pressures and demands on our own terms or by relying on our own strength, nor did He demand that when we win His favor by assembling an impressive portfolio of good deeds. Instead, He invites us to enter in His rest. God worked and called it good, and He rested and He called it holy. Our rest can be as unique as our work. We are invited to join Him in the rest because in those moments, we can lay down our burdens, abide with Him, and do what He created us to do and refresh our souls for the coming days. Rest for me used to look like sitting on the sofa and mindlessly snacking while watching television. I thought I deserved that break, that doing nothing was how I was supposed to relax, but I often felt more exhausted, gross from all the sugar I consumed, and completely unmotivated to do anything at all. May I bust a myth for you? Rest looks different for everyone. I have friends who are energized by a long morning run where they can be alone with their thoughts, prayers, and the pavement. I have other friends who are rejuvenated by gathering people in their home for good food and great conversation. And you might find that at your best rest when you're reading a book, creating art, playing music, or gardening. God has created us with such care that there should be no surprise our rest can be as unique as our work. Psalms 46 says, attention all, see the marvels of God. He plants flowers and trees all over the earth, bans war from pole to pole, breaks weapons across his knee, steps out of the traffic, take a long, loving look at me. You're a high God, above politics, above everything. So some notes I had to go with this one. Says God never asks us to meet life's pressures and demands on our own terms or by relying on our own strength. Instead, He invites us to enter in His rest. God worked and He called it good, and He rested and called it evil. The other night, I was talking to my sister late at night, and I was just telling her how I was really proud how she handled a certain situation, and that I just look up to her, how she can handle everything in grace, even whenever I know it's hard. And she sent a simple message that said, God cares about all the things. And that just stuck with me because He does care about everything that we're doing. He cares how we handle situations, how we spend our time. Everything that we do should be giving glory to Him. He cares how we speak of ourselves and of others. He cares what we do for work, and He cares how we spend our rest. It says we are invited to join Him in that rest because in those moments we can lay our burdens down. He wants us to bring everything to Him. Kara shared a story with us before about how there was a time in her business where she felt stuck. But instead of saying this isn't for me, I'm stuck, I can't go on, she prayed about it and prayed about it and prayed about it and said, I'm not doing anything without a sign from you. And that's when God just completely blessed her business and allowed her to take off. But instead of just because something was hard and giving up, she spent time in prayer, and God cares about the desires of our heart. He wants to give us the desires of our heart, but we should also be praying to align our desires with his. And the desires of my heart, sorry, please sit back for a second. The desires of my heart have changed so much from just by growing up, from going to college to being a teacher to becoming a mom. Whenever I was a teacher and I started having babies, I've shared my story a lot, but the desires of my heart was to stay home with my children. I got told the first time I took Gabriel to daycare, the very first time, Mama, it gets easier. And I remember telling my mom later on that it doesn't matter. Like, it's been over a year now, and it's not easier. It's not easier to leave them. And like I said, everybody's desires of their heart is different, but God wants to give you the desires. And by allowing me to make more than a full-time income with Plexus, I got the desire of my heart to stay home with my children, and he blessed me that way. And just like it said, rest looks different for everyone. And whenever I say you need to take time to rest, I don't mean that you just go a few weeks without working because you don't feel like it. That's not at all what I mean whenever I say you need to rest as long as working this business. He wants to bless you. He wants to bless you so much, but he expects us to work for it, for what we want in life as well. For me, what fills me up whenever I need rest, it's simply going to prayer, doing my devotional in the morning, or turning on worship music and just simply worshiping him. And then my family, and like yesterday, the other day, my sisters and I were talking, and I was just saying a little bit about feeling overwhelmed and crummy. And then last night we all got together at my parents' house, and it was nothing special. We had dinner and we hung out. And today I just feel so much more refreshed. God has created us with such care. Everything we do should bring glory to him with how we work and how we rest. So make sure you're mindful to how you are spending your days. Okay, I'll go ahead and let you take over.
I feel like God works all things out, because Amanda and I did not, like, most of the time, Amanda and Bailey and I will jump on Zoom beforehand and we'll kind of collaborate and figure out what exactly we're going to talk about. And this morning I texted them and I told them that I pretty much had the outline today. Like, we did it half to me, and I had no idea what Amanda was talking about, and she had no idea what I was talking about. And then she reads the wrong thing. And I feel like it's just going to flow so perfectly into what I want to share today. I also want to invite you guys that if you have a face, you're welcome to turn your camera on. I would love to see a lot of your faces. I mean, I know that's kind of scary, but sometimes we can do hard things and we can do scary things. And just showing up on a Zoom and showing our face is one way that we can get to know you guys better. And I feel like we can kind of hang out. So you're invited to show your face on here. Look at all those pretty faces. Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today is asking you guys, how bad do you want this, and what do you consider your commitment level to be in this? I have a lot of people that will come to me and they will tell me that they're all in. They want to do this business. They want to be a diamond. They want to be a jewel, whatever their goal is. But sometimes their actions may not look like it. And if you have a commitment level if you have a goal and you have a desire to reach a specific spot in this company, then we have to show up and we have to commit and stay consistent, like we are going to reach that goal. So I'm going to share a little, I share a lot of my stories, but yeah, that's what I know. So when I first started this business, my goal was to be able to stay at home with my daughter at the time. I did not want to leave her every day. I wanted to be able to stay at home. And it took me 5 months, and I worked hard, and I got to that level. I got to senior Ruby. Senior Ruby was where I needed to be to replace my income to be able to stay at home with my kids. And my husband is walking in the door right now. I'm getting ready to talk about him and I don't want him to hear it. You need to go. You shouldn't be home. You should be at work right now. But anyway, I was happy there. I was happy to be a stay-at-home mom, and I took a step back. I did not show up every single day like I had shown up before. I was lazier in the business, but I was happy with where I was. I was bringing home more money, staying at home with my daughter, and God really used that time to grow me and strengthen my relationship with him during that time, until I was totally fulfilled for a really long time until I wasn't. And then I have a husband that tells me all the time, like, I love my work. I'm not ever going to quit building houses. Like, I don't care how much money you make or how much little money you make. Like, this is what I want to do. And that's kind of what the storyline that he gave me over and over again, until there was a time that he wasn't. His job is very labor intensive. He builds customs home for a living. He has his own business. And yes, he's self-employed, but he's always working for somebody else because, the customers are who is paying him to build these houses. And his job started getting more demanding. He started building bigger homes. He had needier customers. He was coming home and he was burnt out, and he was looking miserable. Honestly, he was, and you could just tell that it was wearing on his body. And that's whenever I look at this opportunity that I have in front of me. And I was like, okay, how can I get to where I can replace his income so he doesn't have to work anymore? And so I looked at where I was as a senior Ruby, and I looked to where I wanted to get, which was Diamond. And I'm currently at Sapphire. And I realized that if I wanted to get from senior Ruby to Sapphire or to Diamond, I was going to have to start showing up differently. I was going to have a different commitment level. It wasn't just about me being happy, like being a mom, homeschooling my kids, spending my days doing whatever I want. Like, I have a husband that I love that was miserable in his job. So how could I fix that as well? So I had to take time, and I had to figure out how I could show up to be a better leader. How could I stretch myself a little bit more? How could I push myself out of my comfort zone? How could I manage my time a little bit better? So there's a couple things that I want to challenge you guys in today. One excuse that I always say, I've shared this before, if you've ever heard me talk before, but I hate it when people come to me and they tell me that if God wants me to be a diamond, I'll be a diamond. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It doesn't work like that. It's never going to work like that. God will equip you and he will give you the tools, but it is always a partnership. It is your works first with his blessings that it goes together. So whenever you are working this business and you're showing up, it's going to make a difference if you are treating this as a business or as a hobby. When I was committed or whenever I was content at Senior Ruby, for the most part, I would work this business as a hobby. I would throw some posts on Facebook. I would, answer messages some as they come in, but I was not showing up every single day like a business owner, working this business like I wanted to be a diamond. I wasn't showing up on camera. I wasn't showing up and doing team calls because I was content where I was until I wasn't. And a lot of times we sometimes will mix up excuses and reasons to not show up. Amanda and I have every excuse not to be on this call right now. Amanda has kids climbing on top of her while she's trying to talk, and she chooses to show up anyway. She knew it was going to be like that before she got on the call. She's not surprised that Liam and Emma were like on her lap while she was on the call. She knew that, but she didn't use it as an excuse. She didn't text Bailey and me and say, hey, y'all are going to have to take over because like I've got kids. Like, I am a homeschooling mom. I have 4 kids with me all the time. It is so easy to use them as an excuse not to do something, but I choose not to. I'll get that a lot. I'll be like, I'm sorry, my husband's gone. Like, I can't do anything today because I've got the kids by myself. My husband's gone all the time. He's gone. Like, we are to a point now where he has, the exciting part of this story, we're to a point where he has not taken on any more customer work. He has to finish up the commitments that he has, but because of showing up and staying committed, we are to a point where he doesn't have to take on customer work anymore. He is able to finish his commitments, and then he's going to be able to use his time not being committed to that anymore. So I'm at home all the time with my kids, still showing up, still doing the things, still doing the task. There's sometimes we understand that things happen and there's extenuating circumstances, or, maybe your kid has an event in the afternoon that you have to go to or something like that. If you can't show up to something and you have a legit reason, I just want you guys to understand that there is a difference between excuses and reasons. And if you are choosing not to show up for something, think about if it was your real quote unquote job, if you would call in because of whatever excuse that you're giving not to put forth the effort into your Plexus business. We can always block out time. We can always make it a priority, and anything that is going to bear fruit is going to cause sacrifice. So if you want to bear the good fruit, then we're going to have to sacrifice. Maybe we're having to sacrifice Netflix in the evenings. Maybe we're having to wake up a little bit earlier, go to sleep a little bit later, and sacrifice a little bit of sleep. Maybe we're going to have to sacrifice hanging out at practices, but catching all the ball games. Like sometimes there's little sacrifices to get where you want to go. And wherever you want to go in this business is completely fine. If you are not wanting to go, if you do not want to make it to the top, if you don't want to bring in a full-time income and you're content just doing a little bit, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with whatever it is that your desire and your goal is in this business. I just know I have a lot of people that truly desire to reach a high-paying rank in this company. So we're going to have to show up like we want to reach this high-paying rank in our company. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take commitment, and it's going to take consistency. And sometimes we have to be willing to get out of our comfort zone. That's why I kind of made the comment of, let me see your faces. Like, it's uncomfortable sometimes showing your faces, especially if you don't feel like you know everybody, you're connected to everybody. But we are capable of doing hard things. And whenever we're living inside of our comfort zone, we're usually never growing, we're never expanding, and we're probably not going to receive the outcome that we're wanting. And I want you guys to, I actually heard this 2 different ways earlier. But it said, if in 5 years, your life looked exactly the way that it looked today, would you be happy? Would you be satisfied, not moving forward at all? Or would you be obedient to the calling that God had on your life if you stayed in this exact spot 5 years from now? I don't feel like I would be obedient. Like, I don't feel like God's ever calling us to stay stagnant. He's always calling us for more. He's always calling us for closer relationship with him for more. He's calling us to do more. He's calling us to grow more. Like, he doesn't desire for us to be stagnant. And some of you guys may not have a passion in health, a passion for supplements, a passion for fitness. I do not have a passion for any of those things. But I do love people, and I do believe that God is using this as a vehicle so I can help expand his kingdom and expand his glory. So if I can be obedient here and I can reap the rewards here, God has blessed all of my sisters and myself with these amazing properties, this amazing amount of land that he's like literally given us. It's been prayed for. He's like put in our lap. And I don't know why, but I know that it is. I know it's going to be for him. And I'm always like thinking, like, what has he given this to me for? He has given us a business where we can have time freedom. And I don't know exactly why. And he's also given us a vision of doing something together. Like back when we were like in high school, we knew that we were going to do something big as a family together. And we don't know what all that looks like, but we can slowly see him putting together all of these puzzle pieces on how this is going to start to play out and setting it up for whatever he has to come for us. And all of this started coming because of a business and obedience to saying yes, and us taking the time to sacrifice to work for it. We could have easily all turned our cheek, went the other way. I could have stayed a nurse. My mom could have stayed a nurse. Amanda could have stayed a teacher. And we could have just went doing the mundane, doing things every single day that we were used to doing because it was our comfort zone. Because trying something new is scary. Being made fun of by our friends is scary. Being blocked on Facebook or people in high school unfriending you is like, you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just sharing something, but people don't always want your happiness. And that they don't want to see you happy and want to see you succeed, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to stop. It means you can continue to move forward still and bless all of the people along the way. And I always think about, Sarah and mom both had I don't think theirs on here, but both had their Plexiversaries is what we can call it this past month. And like if Thera would not have been obedient and brought it to my mom and she wouldn't have been obedient and said yes, like look at all of their lack of obedience would have totally shut the door on the blessings for everybody on this call and at the thousands of people that are currently on our team. It is sometimes your obedience is what's going to end up blessing somebody else down in the future. I also want to just really encourage you guys to, if you have a team and you are trying to grow a team, that to start showing up like a leader, to do the things that leaders would do, to show your face on camera, to show up at the events, to be posting regularly, to be showing up in stories. Because if you cannot ask your team to do something that you're not modeling and that you're not willing to do, we have convention coming up and you may not feel like you are going to gain anything or learn anything from convention, but I guarantee you have some people on your team that do feel like they would. I honestly think everybody would gain some incredible things from convention. I think you would come back empowered. I think you would come back inspired. And I would think you will come back realizing that this is so much bigger than you even imagined. Like it's not just our team, but we have this incredible company with leaders of integrity. And I think that's a taste that you would get something at convention, but it's worth going to convention for yourself. And it's worth, so your team will come with you and you can help pass down that inspiration to all of those people as well. Plexus is doing some really incredible things this month. They're making it easier. Sometimes I have a problem focusing long-term. It's easier for me to focus short-term. It's easier for me to make short-term goals. I can stick to those and I can commit to those. So if you have this long-term vision and this long-term commitment where you want to be, I encourage you to break that down into small sizes so you can reach those. I hit Emerald because I was shooting for the shopping spree. I had 3 months to get to the shopping spree. That was an easier goal for me than it was. I knew what I could break down to get there. But because of those short-term goals, I ended up reaching my long-term goal at the time. So this month, Plexus is doubling, or if you've lost rank and you re-rank, you get the re-rank bonuses again. And if you've never hit a rank, you are getting double the rank bonus. And if you are hitting a new rank for the first time in the fast start phase, then they're tripling your bonuses. So right now it's the beginning of the month. It's a really good time to create a short-term goal, how you can reach that next rank so you can get the double, triple bonus or get the bonus again. And if you don't know how to set that up and you don't know how to figure out exactly what you need to get that, then contact your sponsor. And I guarantee they are more than happy to help you make a game plan. This is how many people you need. This is what you need to do. And this is how you need to do it. And you guys can work together to create that. One other thing that I have on here is I was talking about excuses a little bit. And a lot of times we think that maybe we don't have the right network, or we don't have the right upline, or we don't have the time that we need, or whatever, you work outside too much, like whatever it is. I guarantee that if you look at our jewels in this company, and if you even narrow it down to the diamonds, there's probably somebody that had the exact same excuse that you have, but instead of using it as an obstacle to that they couldn't get over, they decided that it was going to be an obstacle that they were willing to overcome. They became an overcomer and they became an achiever doing it. So just want to end with that all of you guys are completely capable. We all have the exact same opportunity. None of us are more special than the others. It just depends on if you are willing to commit and to show up for yourself every single day. I feel like we try as hard as we can to put together and to give you guys all the resources that you would need. We've done all the things. We've tried to figure things out. We've tried to make our systems foolproof, and we've learned that people that use them and people that show up tend to have success with it. So you just have to commit to doing that. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to share before we jump off here?